Alright, Mixed Van 8643 at DeviantArt wanted me to do something about this. He wanted me to talk about the whole situation with Pirate Plunder Panic. Well, I'm going to do this as best I can because I don't know exactly when my mom's going to show up. Because she has the kids and, they've been cleaning up a lot faster after church. So I don't know exactly when she's going to show up. Let me put it to you like this. I can understand where some people are coming from with that. See, the fact is with Pirate Plunder Panic, it's not just the fact that, some will look at it as filler. And some will look at some of the decisions made, like putting Amy and Cream in there when they weren't supposed to be in there, as being stupid. But here's the reason. When your editor-in-chief, one of them says, put Amy and Cream in there, there's a reason for that. That reason is because they want to sell more of the story. And as popular as Blaze is, and believe me, I think she's a little bit more popular than Amy, no offense. It's more about the fact that if you have Amy in there, this is what they think. If you have someone like Amy in there, and along with Cream, you're going to sell more copies. Because yes, Blaze is popular enough to probably sell a story on her own, if the story is done right. But with Amy along, it basically, they feel that with Amy and her fan base, that's going to bring in some other readers as well. And you also have to look at it this way. Blaze isn't seen as much in the comics as isn't seen as much in the comics because she's not even seen that much in the games. She's not. And they pretty much figure, yeah, when we use her, it's going to be her story, but we have to put more This is the situation, and you can disagree with me or not. But when Amy and Cream get used or put in there for no reason, and even the person that writes the story says, hey, they were not supposed to be in there. The reason they're put in there is due to the fact, ladies and gentlemen, is because they've been seen more in the games than Blaze. And that from a business standpoint, they pretty much think that because Amy and Cream are seen more in the games, that fans, and especially newer fans, are going to know about them more than they're going to know about Blaze. Because in their mindset, someone will pick up this story and go like, who the heck is Blaze? That's it. That is it. That is the reason. It's kind of like the whole retcon, if you will. The whole soft retcon reboot. The reason it happened, yes, to basically clear out a lot of Pender's story arcs and characters, no doubt about that. But also to keep things tied together with the games. You don't think Sega didn't have a say in that? Well, of course they did. And if you keep things tied into what the games are, then yeah, you're going to what the games are, even if you mention the fact that they've already happened or kind of hint that they're going to happen, it's because it's a mandate. And it's not just a mandate sent down by an editor-in-chief, it's a mandate sent down by the corporation itself. So even when you have someone like Sega that pretty much is saying, yeah, not many people are going to know who Blaze is, even though, we used her in Sonic Generations, and we used her in the games. We used her in Sonic Rush, which basically those two games were her games. We used her there. We used her in the controversial, atrocious Sonic 2000, or Sonic 2006. Even though she's been in all that, and she's been in the Olympic Games, not a major character or player in their eyes, thus the reason she's put into the situation. Now, was the story used as filler? Possibly. One can't really say, but in the eyes of some, if it was a filler story, then fine. Archie Comics has no one to blame but themselves for that happening because of the fact because of the fact that they, behind the scenes, didn't have the priorities straight, and thus they lost a lot of momentum, especially when they lost the rights to Pender's characters and story arcs. So they basically had to come up with something that said, okay, what was originally supposed to be here is now going to be filled by this, and oh, by the way, we're going to add these characters in even though they have no reason for being in the story. That's about it. And, I will point out one thing and agree with. Yes, certain things, like I said, Amy being in the comic, sell more copies. Cream being in the comic, sell more copies. Why? Because I've seen more than Blaze. Blaze becoming Burning Blaze at the end? Yes, the set was good, but sell more copies. Basically, the point is, the reason things happen, and the reason things happen in this story, and the reason it was presented in the way it was because of the fact that they wanted to sell copies. Yes, Blaze, in my opinion, this is my opinion because I like Blaze. Always have. In fact, I liked her the first time I saw her. It's like, I'm gonna get a kick out of this character. I'm really gonna like her. Like with Styx. Saw what Styx was about, right? I saw the preview for Sonic Boom. And you know what? I think Styx is a funny character. I know some people may not like Sonic Boom. May not like the way it's being presented. That's fine. I'm willing to give it a chance. I really am. And I think Styx is going to be a funny character. But to me, like I said, when I first saw Blaze, I saw a character that was not just a princess like Sally is, but a princess that, like Sally, could kick some serious bootay when need to. So to me, that's why I like Blaze. And that's why I believe if the right story is written for her, is written well enough for her, for this character, she can hold it on her own. She can handle her own story. And that's a fact. That is a fact. She can handle her own God-given story if she is given the opportunity to do so. Given the opportunity to do so, she can handle her own story. And that's the truth. That is the truth and nothing but the truth. But it all depends on who would write the story for her. And potentially right now there are several writers coming up at Archie Comics that could do it. They can do it. And I think Mixed Fan, I think you know exactly two of them I'm talking about. They did the backup story for those two Egg Boss sisters. And you got one that's going to be co-writing an upcoming universe story starting at the end of this year, focusing on Sally and Nicole and their history, their relationship with each other. And it also co-stars Tails and Big. But basically, you're going to have a co-writer with Ian to get that done. And just like with this one, just like with Pirate Plunder Panic, the reason Big and Tails are going to be involved in this, mainly the Sally and Nicole universe arc, is for sales. That's it. That's the only reason. Just like I said, just like Amy was brought in along with Cream to be part of this, even though they weren't supposed to be, for sales. Because, like I said earlier, not a lot of fans, newer fans, in the eyes and minds of Archie and even Sega, would be like, if they picked up an issue and they saw Blaze as the main character in the story, they'd be like, who the heck is Blaze? They wouldn't know who she is. But they would know who Amy is. They'd be like, oh, I know who that is. That's Amy Rose. Oh, I know who that is. That's Cream the Rabbit. That's basically the gist of it there. It's basically the reasoning for it there. Whether you guys like to admit it or not, that's the reasoning. That, in a nutshell, is the reasoning. So, to me, everybody's going to have their opinions about stories like Pirate Plunder Panic. A lot of people are going to have just opinions about it. Like I know Mixed Fan, you have your opinions on Endgame, and that's fine. But to me, everybody's going to have their opinions on Pirate Plunder Panic. There's no doubt about that. Everybody's going to have their opinions about it. Everybody's going to have their indifferences about it. And you know what? That's fine with me. Fine with me. And I know that's fine with you. But yeah, I will admit maybe it was filler and maybe there was some things that shouldn't have been done. But I think the only reason she's ever put in these situations is because she's not used as much in the games as she should be. Let's not forget, she's mainly been in the Olympic Games more than anything. Yeah, she was in Generations. Yeah, she was in the Rush titles. Yeah, she was in the controversial 2006 game. And others that I can't think of right now. But she's been in her fair share of games. But not enough, except for like, say, 2006, Rush, and Generations to really, play a major integral role in what needs to be done, in the story. But that's my response to this whole situation. And you guys let me know down below if you agree or not.